What are my 7 key tips to start out on any interview? I'll be sharing with you in today's video. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Monica Talks Cyber. On this very channel, I share with you both my personal and professional learnings, talk about hacking your career, personal growth, and leadership. So if you wish to learn, grow, and be a part of this journey, hit the subscribe button and let's get growing. What does standing out in an interview really mean? In my personal and professional experience, I believe it's really a combination of leaving a great impression, not only as a candidate, but also as a contributor, a collaborator, and a learner. So here are my 7 key tips that can help you stand out amidst the crowd in any interview process and leave a great impression. So here goes. Rule number 1, share your story. Interviews are misunderstood to be about selling yourself. I say misunderstood because while you do have a role to convince a potential employer that you're a good match for the company, that the role is a good match for you, and hopefully lead to an offer, it's not really about boasting about yourself. So number 1 rule for that is don't sell yourself. Instead, share your story. It's a much more powerful tool that can resonate with people. Nothing is more compelling in this world than sharing a story. Every experience tells a story, even when you have 0 years of working experience in the industry. You have a story to tell. Share yours. Find and tell yours. It could be about how you came to the point where you are today in your life, what experiences you took along with yourself. And telling a story works independently, whether you're looking for an entry-level position or a leadership role that requires many years of experience. So even with 0 years of experience, you have a story to tell. Find and tell yours. Number 2, do your homework well. This is a very known advice, something that everyone says, do your homework. It sounds very obvious, and I might sound like a broken record, but don't be surprised as to how many people I've interviewed or how many people I'm known to have been interviewed that either have not done their homework or have not done it well. So it's really important that you do your homework well. What does that really mean? Because many people just look at the job description and do the research around it and think that's enough. That's not enough, especially if it's an important role for you, if it's a dream role for you, or you want to just give you 100%. It's not enough to just look at the job description. So it's important to understand a bit about the company, their values, their mission, what kind of value are they providing to their customers? How would your role potentially be a part in providing that kind of value and resonate with it? And maybe also learn a bit about the names and the roles of the people that you will be talking to within the interview process or during the entire interview process and so on. I would even recommend that you research a bit about what the other types of roles that are open within the organization at this point of time, because it will give you 2 benefits. Number 1, it will help you understand what kind of roles you might be interacting with if you got this position. And number 2, well, if it'll give you also an understanding of what other roles could you go for in case this interview didn't turn out to be the way you hoped for. So do your homework and do it well. Number 3, be ready to answer some tough questions. By tough questions, I don't mean solving Euclidean equation or some infamous trick questions that you get in some complicated interviews. But by tough questions, I mean these that sound very easy, but might be difficult to answer, that you might consider not that easy. And they may require some kind of preparation, such as, why are you leaving your current job, or why did you leave your last job? Tell us a bit about yourself. How do you deal with conflicts? How do you inspire your team? How do you inspire people in general? How do you deal with giving feedback to other people, and how do you deal with criticism? These sound like very simple questions, and they can be answered very constructively with some self-reflection and preparation, but you need to do that. So make sure you consider some of these questions, self-reflect on your own experiences, and prepare an honest, authentic, and reliable answer. Let's take one example. One of the most common questions but difficult questions that's usually asked in the interview is, tell us about yourself. Who is Ashley? Who is Josh? So how do you answer that? For that, we come to my next tip. Number 4, first impressions matter. Interviewers usually make a judgment about an interview within the first 30 to 60 seconds. So it's very critical how you answer or how you get into the first 30 to 60 seconds when you get an opportunity to talk. So how do you make a good first impression is really critical. One of the most common leading questions to a candidate interview process is usually in the lines of, tell us something about yourself. Who is Tom? And majority of the candidates make one of the biggest mistakes. They just go line by line through their CV. They start with their name, they go line by line through their work experience, go through their accolades, their education, and basically just recite the entire CV. And I strongly advise you to not do that. Do not repeat or reiterate or recite your CV, even when the interviewer has point blank asked you to do so, because there's a much better way to answer the question and also help them understand a bit what is already in your CV. And here's how you do it. The first 60 seconds are very critical in deciding whether you leave a good first impression or not so much. So I really strongly advise you that use the first 60 seconds to convey one or more of the following 3 key things. Number 1, your motivations. Number 2, why do you believe and how well do you think you fit in this role and in this organization? And number 3, what value do you bring to the organization? What value do you bring to the table? And to do all that with both confidence and humility. And then you may ask me the question, but how do we do that, Monica? So here we come to the next tip. Number 5, showcase how you can provide value. Understand that you are not perfect. No candidate is. No candidate is perfect. Knowing and acknowledging that can give you 2 very important strengths for an interview. Number 1, humility, and number 2, confidence to help you ace that interview and leave that lasting good first impression. Having this in the back of your mind, I recommend that you use this in the interview as an opportunity to showcase 3 things. 1, how did you come to where you are today? And with the experience gathered over this time, how would you provide value today if you got the role? Number 2, how do you see yourself in that role in the first 30, 60, or 90 days? And the value it would continue to provide to your organization, not just today, but even tomorrow. Basically conveying and showcasing not just the value, but also your potential. Number 3, and here's where the humility is the most important aspect. How do you see yourself growing in this role? That is expressing a growth mindset, and that is really important. This is something we usually forget to address, whether we have 0 years of experience or 20 years of experience, to showcase that we are a learner, that we are a collaborator, and that we are here to grow together with the organization and to help the organization grow as well. So having and showcasing that growth mindset is really important. Number 6, don't be hesitant to share your people skills. Subject matter skills are usually the main focus of interviews, sometimes the only focus of the interview, sadly so. However, a good interviewer will always ask you about your people skills. So knowing and sharing your people skills, how they are important or relevant for the role, how they can provide value not only to you in this role, but also to the organization, how they can complement other people within the team, and maybe also providing 1 or 2 examples of how your people skills have proven valuable to you in both your personal and professional lives can be a big plus. And this is especially important in case of both entry-level positions as well as leadership roles, where people skills like self-initiative, self-motivation, aptitude for learning, motivating and inspiring others can be very valuable and can go a long way and help you stand out amidst the crowd. And finally, number 7, ask relevant and meaningful questions. A good interviewer will always ask you along the process, along the interview, if you have some questions, and not just as a side topic for the last 2 minutes, because this is really an important part. So be prepared and ready to ask some relevant and meaningful questions. And then you may ask me, but Monica, what are relevant or meaningful questions? How would I know that? These are those that A, help you understand the role better. For example, what would a typical day or a week look like in this role? B, help you understand both the challenges and the opportunities around this role, as well as the working environment that you would be going into. For example, what are some of the challenges that the organization or the employer is hoping to get solved through this role? What are some of the challenges that they have with their customers that are important? Or how are the other roles or the skill sets within the organization or within the team that will complement your role, and so on? And C, help you leave both a good and a genuine interest in this opportunity. It's always important to reiterate your interest at the end of the interview, obviously, if you're genuinely interested. So these were some of my most important or some of my key tips that I have for you for today. This is obviously not an exhaustive list, but some of these have been really some life-saving tips for me that have helped me land some of my dream roles throughout my career. And I hope these help you as well in finding your dream roles, in landing your dream roles, in finding a right employer for you who's a good match for you as much as you are for them. So happy job hunting, happy job searching. If you have any questions or comments, please write them below. I would love to hear from you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Monica signing off.